Okay. The birthplace of the Bohemian Revolution from Cowork 591 Studios. This is Steve Brown Arts Center Podcast Network with co-host Dale Rueber and producer Blake Tempus. I'm Jim Gillespie, and this is the Jesup News for November 13th, 2023. On today's podcast, we talk about winners and losers. We look at health costs in our country. We talk about the work week. We talk about horror movies. A little late for Halloween, I guess. We look at Co-Work 591 News. We look at the events inside the Steve Brown Arts Center as that is starting to build for next year. We give you the top stories in Jesup. We discuss service and art, and Dale has something for you. As always, it will be very good. The Steve Brown Arts Center is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that has a vision for artists, young and old alike, to have the opportunity to better themselves while helping to build the skills of those around them. It will be offering community programming starting in Jesup, Iowa, before expanding to neighboring communities. Programming will include a community speaker series that will showcase existing creatives who reside within the community, as well as a pop-up series that will spotlight and partner with local businesses to provide the opportunity for community engagement. The long-range vision is to house a rural artist residency program for professional and emerging artists in all areas of the arts and the humanities. Artists will be offered accommodations and studio spaces in exchange for contribution of labor and maintenance of the buildings and grounds. And ladies and gentlemen, here's Johnny.
Ta-da!
All right, there's a
You
pause
waved your
there.
wand and I appeared. So,
All right, well, welcome everybody. We're glad you're here tonight as we roar up to Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving will be next week.
is that on Thursday again this year?
It is on Thursday
All right.
again. They moved it from Thursday. So
Christmas is on the 25th again, too.
it is really.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, well, it's nice to have things that are predictable.
It is. So let's go as always to winners and losers. Dale, if you want to start, or I'll start with winners, just to let you catch your breath here.
Okay, though I'm not
Yeah.
tired, I'm in terrific shape. I can walk 25 feet without getting winded.
All right. Well, good. That's good to hear.
Sure.
My winner for the week is the University of Iowa Hospitals. A couple years ago, they tried to buy Mercy One in Iowa City, and they offered $605 million for Mercy One in Iowa City. Mm-hmm. Late last week, a judge ruled that all they have to pay for Mercy One in Iowa City is $28 million.
Oh, wow.
They are the winner for the week
Yep.
by over $500 million.
That's enough to help Cedar Rapids do all their schools now. Their bond issue didn't pass. So.
Bond issue didn't pass.
That's a lot of money.
That is,
Yeah.
there's I'm sure Mercy One and their stockholders are a little disappointed about that.
Yeah.
So, but the University of Iowa Hospital is the big winner in that one.
Okay.
Who are you? Who's your
Well,
winner?
I went out to the Littleton chili supper last week, and I was very impressed with the number of people that came. So my winners are the people of Littleton, because it seems to me that whenever I've been there for some of these little things, the people from the town and from the area around the town have been very supportive of everything, and it looks to me like they're trying very hard to keep their town going as much as they can and get better in the future. And so I was really impressed by that. And so I think the people of Littleton are doing a good thing, and it's nice that they're rallying around and doing whatever they can to keep things going. So I like that small town spirit of core. So
that's a very good one.
Yeah.
That's I've got to apologize to that organization. I've said that organization's name wrong for years.
We should apologize, because like they had 25 prizes they gave away,
right?
I was there for half an hour. They said your name 4 times.
I did. But I did buy a few. I bought quite a few raffle tickets.
Okay.
Dale, so.
Every third one was yours, I suppose. Okay. All right. I didn't think about that, so I take it back. So.
All right. But anyhow, the name of that organization as the Littleton and Chatham Historical Society. And for years, I've called it the Littleton Chatham Historical Society.
Yeah.
It is the Littleton and Chatham Historical Society. The borderline for Chatham is, well, Littleton is across the road from me. So I live in Chatham.
Okay, I was going to ask you which part you lived in. Okay.
I live in Chatham. You go 20 feet across the road, and that is Littleton.
Okay.
So it's rather unique.
And I know Little was a man. Was there a person named Chatham?
You know, that's a good question. We need to get Tony in and have him do the history of that area. He is incredible about that.
Yeah.
When I taught, I had Tony in, and I'm ashamed to say I can't remember.
Yeah, okay.
That's a wonderful choice. My loser sits in Michigan again this week for the third week in a row.
Jim Harbaugh's dog
his name
peed
is
on the carpet. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Connor Stallions. Probably the most prolific sports name you'll ever hear. Connor Stallions, one of Jim Harbaugh's assistants. He either resigned or was fired or was told to resign before he was fired. One of those two. He was the man that stole all of the signals for the University of Michigan.
Yeah.
But there's a story out here recently that the other schools have been trading Michigan's signals around the Big Ten as well.
I suppose, yeah.
So it is. They're all exceptional at living on the gray area.
Yeah.
So, but
Well, we talked about cheating a few weeks ago, and
Yes,
this
we
is just
did.
another example of sports cheating. And sometimes we look at it as just part of the game, and other times we think it's the wrong thing to do. And it sounded like Michigan really went to extremes. I looked this up more after you talked about it last week. It seems like the other coaches in the Big Ten are very upset with this, and they want something done. And the Big Ten commissioner, of course, he's got a top-ranked team there, and so he doesn't want to mess with it too much. But he's trying to wait until the NCAA makes a decision before he does any punishing, and that could be forever, So
it's a strange thing because if Michigan makes the Final Four or wins the national championship, Michigan receives a huge amount of money, but the Big Ten also receives a huge amount of money. But the Big Ten doesn't want Michigan to win that because they want to be able to out-recruit them.
Yeah.
So it's a cluster.
Something else came. It was on the news. Ron Steele reported this, that the NCAA has come out with a report on the officiating of the Iowa women's basketball game against LSU in the championship game. And it was 88% top officials when they do a game. It's in the 90s that they're correct. But they said that the 88% was consistent with the refereeing throughout the whole tournament. So I guess we can't really say anything. But they did, how was that, in March?
Yeah.
So now it's November, they came out with their report. And that because, a lot of Iowa fans felt the officiating was not up to snuff in that game. And apparently, 12% of the calls were not what they should have been. So
we used to talk about this when we started tournaments, Dale, through the years. When the tournament starts, it becomes a more violent game. Referees don't want to change a game.
Yeah.
And so rather than make a call, they're not going to make a call and alter a game. And so that wasn't I didn't give my players a license to be more violent. I just told them to accept more violence and be ready for more violence.
Yeah.
Because humans are humans. They don't want to alter something. They don't want to say, oh, it's his fault or her fault. Unfortunately, those those people that those three that refereed that game took a lot, and you know it is
No fun.
no.
Now I have heard that in the state tournament games, and I've heard basketball coaches talk about this, that the officials that get to officiate in Des Moines are not necessarily the ones that have really done a lot of officiating that year, but they're in the good old boy network, and so they pick out these people that are not necessarily the best officials, but they're the best connected officials. Did you ever have that suspicion, or?
Well, and this has probably changed. I've been out of it long enough. How they used to do it, Dale, was we used to evaluate officials after every game, and then we had to turn in our evaluations for those officials. Now, if the three of us did an evaluation for Nick Donnelly refereeing a game, and we like Nick, so we give him a good evaluation. Well, he would be a good old boy. Most of good officials that I had were also respectful to the players. They were respectful to both benches. They would say, you know, it was not uncommon for a good official to run by my bench and say to me or my bench, "Wow, I missed that one, didn't I?" You know,
Yeah.
so you know, it was the people. I evaluated people that were disrespectful to the players or disrespectful to the bench. You know, that's, you know, and so, you know, good old boys get tournament games, but also most of them deserve tournament games.
Okay. And did you ever have anybody who had officiated a game with you in Jesup that year end up officiating in Des Moines at the tournament?
Oh yeah.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, I think that's wonderful. I do. I had something else, but I forgot what it is.
All right. Well, who'd you have for lose?
My loser is Boys Town. Did you ever see Boys Town, Father Flanagan,
Yep.
Mickey Rooney,
Yep.
that film? Well, there's a huge, 2 different days, 4-page article in the Sunday Register about Boys Town. It's by a lady. She's the investigative reporter for the Des Moines Register, and her name is Lee Rood, Rood. And just a little paragraph. She discovered several reports of sexual abuse over the past 5 years at the Boys Town campus, a sizable endowment, uncommon among human services nonprofit nationally, and more spent on fundraising than at other high-asset public charities. And the article, and again, it's well over 4 pages, a lot of sexual abuse, a lot of Catholic priests involved with that over the years, a lot of foster parenting in that area, and that they are doing their fundraising on helping kids at the Omaha campus, but the majority of the money goes to a research hospital and other projects. That's $817 million from 2017 to 2021. And fewer than 300 children have been housed in its family-style foster homes in recent years, and this is less than half of their licensed capacity, yet they continue to do all this fundraising. So it looks like, and I don't know how far this kind of thing will go, but that's a big scandal just waiting to happen, and it's sad. These kind of facilities, there's a guy named Tommy James, he's an Alabama attorney, and he's been investigating these kind of places where kids are sent to live. And he says, the word is getting out in the survivor community about what's happening in these facilities. Perpetrators know these are target-rich environments, and these children don't have a way out. There's no place for them to go because they've been sent there. So anyway, very sad report, I think. If you've ever seen that movie or heard anything about Father Flanagan in Boys Town, why, it's a very heart-touching story, and there are kids that need a safe place to go, but it sounds like these kind of places are not always. One kid said he felt much safer in foster care than he ever did being after they put him in Boys Town. So I think it's kind of sad. So they were my losers for the week.
Yeah, that's terrible. I hadn't seen that.
Yeah. It's a huge article. I think it's over 2 days, but I know in the Sunday paper alone there were over 4 full-length pages of it. So
Okay, as we go on here, I wanted to talk a little bit about the health system throughout the world and the costs of the health system throughout the world. You know, you think about what we pay or what we paid for health insurance, and there's a big lawsuit. It's what is that called when large numbers of people file a lawsuit against Blue Cross?
Class action.
Yeah, there's a class action lawsuit that has been settled by Blue Cross and it hasn't been paid out yet. But they were undercutting companies in Iowa and other states for years.
Okay.
And they lost a $1.2 billion lawsuit. What year did you retire, Dale?
2006.
And how long were you on Blue Cross Blue Shield? When did you end Blue Cross Blue Shield?
Well, it'll be 6 years.
6 years.
Yeah.
So I believe it goes back as far as 2014. So did you receive that that awareness?
I received something about, was it overpayments or I don't remember. Overpayments, yeah. And I know I didn't do anything about it. I don't know that I qualify. I have no, I don't know, but I know I never did.
You would have qualified.
Okay.
I jumped in, but I looked up costs worldwide of what people pay per year for health insurance per person.
Okay.
And it's incredible. The U.S. by far outruns other countries, and this is 2021.
Okay.
So this is 2 years old.
So it'd probably be higher now because of the way things have gone. Yeah, okay.
So in 2021, the average U.S. citizen, $12,914 a year for health insurance. So that's over $1,000 a month.
Yeah.
In Germany, the second closest, it was $7,883. The lowest was Japan, and they're talking first world countries now.
Yeah.
The lowest was Japan at $4,666. I've heard this more than one time, Dale, where they charge maybe for a pill that I take for my arthritis, maybe I pay $10 a pill, and in Africa, somebody pays $1 a pill.
Yeah.
You know, but because we have the money, they can charge us. The U.S. is $5,000 more than any other high-income nation. The average amount spent on health per person in comparable countries is about $6,100 per year. Half of what we pay, Dale.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and we can complain all we want. We're not going to change anything.
Yeah. Well, I was talking marriage. I had to have a cap put on. There's a little glue that they use, dental glue of some kind, and it's a tiny little tube. And he was telling me how much he had to pay for that in the United States, and he said you could get it in Canada for like a tenth of that cost. But he said just because it's here and insurance is involved and this sort of thing, the price was way out of sight. You would not believe. And I wish that was several years ago, but I don't remember the number. But it was way out of sight compared to what he could get it for just by going, a few hundred miles across the border.
Right.
And so, we have a upside down system. There was a report today that the rate of babies in our country being born with syphilis is skyrocketing. It's climbing very quickly, and they're trying to figure out. And it used to be that when a couple was going to get married, they would have to take a blood test.
Yep.
And that was part of the thing, but they don't do any of that kind of stuff anymore. And they were saying, the medical people say it's a simple test. It's a simple cure. If you're a female and you have syphilis, it's a simple cure, but they're not getting the test. They're not getting the cure, and then they're having these babies, and syphilis can affect your eyesight and several other different things of the baby.
Right.
And so you would think, this is like, there's several diseases like this where you think they're gone, and then all at once there's this huge outbreak again. And syphilis is not one that people have talked about for quite a while, as far as I know, but it appears to be making a resurgence, and so that's too bad.
That is too bad, and that's one of the other issues. Our country, as good as our health care is, has a huge number of death rates for newborns. In our country.
And Iowa is higher than almost all the other states. There was a report a week or so ago.
Yeah.
And so
we have what do they call them? Healthcare deserts. Where we have to go miles to get health care.
Yeah.
That is so. I understand.
Because Western Iowa, I guess, to find a place to give birth is very, very difficult. People are driving lots and lots of miles, and that's just a recipe for disaster if something bad happens. Because not everything goes perfectly all the time, and if you have a 2-hour drive or whatever, a lot can happen in 2 hours.
It can, and
if you're expecting a baby. So
you're right. A lot of pediatricians have gotten out of it because of the cost of lawsuits and that.
Yeah.
That would be a tough job.
Yeah, it really would.
In White Funeral Home news, we have one obituary. Dawn M. Kolb, 49, of Jesup, died following a long illness Friday, November 3rd at Unity Point, Allen Memorial Hospital in Waterloo, Iowa. Funeral services were today. And remember, this is taped on Wednesday, November 8th. So it comes out next Monday, the 13th. And celebration or live visitation was 3 to 7 today. Dawn Marie Fischels was born February 3rd, 1974 in Waterloo, the daughter of Gary and Peggy Ann Fischels. She graduated from Union High School in LaPorte City with a class in 1992 and went on to Hawkeye Tech for nursing. After earning her nursing certificate, she worked at a Medical Associates in Independence as a nurse until her health forced her to retire in 2010. On September 11th, 1999, she was united in marriage to Andy Joe Kolb at Sacred Heart Catholic Church in LaPorte City. They made their home south of Jesup on a family farm where they raised their 2 sons. At the time of her death, Dawn was the assistant chief of the Jesup ambulances. She was a member of the Zion Lutheran Church Jubilee and was an assistant coach of the Jesup archery team. Dawn liked to quilt, garden, cook, and work on her diamond paintings. She loved being with her friends and family, but she especially loved being wife to Andy and mom to Jonathan. Dawn is survived by her husband of 24 years, Andy, 2 sons at home, John and Dalton, his special friend Haley Sparks, her mother Peggy Grutz of LaPorte City, brothers and sister Amy Neath of LaPorte, Todd Fischels of LaPorte City, and Chris Pickering of Swisher, Iowa, Kathy DeGroot of Colorado Springs, Colorado, and sister-in-law and brother-in-law Julie Krause and Dwayne Krause and many nieces and nephews. She was preceded in death by her father, Gary Fischels, maternal grandparents, Bud and Bernice Myers, paternal grandparents, Peter J. and Rosella Huberty Fischels, and her father-in-law and mother-in-law, Floyd and Louis Kolb. A memorial fund has been established and will be directed to the church, Jesup Ambulance Association, and scholarship in Dawn's name for education of future healthcare workers. Condolences can be left at whitemounthope.com.
They had the ambulance down at the funeral home yesterday when they had the visitation. And you drove by there. And I did not know this lady, but did you have Andy in class?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did too, in 2nd grade. And his mom and dad, I got to know them really well. Very nice people. And then his sister, Julie Krause, the Krause family, wonderful people. So the whole family just great. And I'm sure that she was a wonderful lady too. She died way too young. And
Yeah.
was it 49?
49.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So sympathies out to Andy.
Dale, what'd you have unique for us this week?
Well, I have one little thing here. This is near and dear to my heart because this is what I truly feel. This is a man named Don Johnson wrote this into the paper. He says, we need our state troopers working here in Iowa. He says, troopers to Texas, question mark. I've been told and have read that the state troopers are operating at 100 or more below normal. With traffic deaths soaring again, one would think we should be all hands on deck. But our grandstanding governor chooses to send another few dozen to Texas for her own pet project rather than patrolling our roads and highways. And so I had to throw that in. So I was going to talk today, and I always try to paraphrase things, but I just have to read this because it's so much. It's about a program well over 200,000 graves in foreign cemeteries from World War II. And there's been a program for those graves, and I was just going to read some of this. This is about a man named John Kelly and Bob Holliday, and it was around Veterans Day, so I thought this was really appropriate. Okay, John and Bob are patriots through and through. They are not big government fanatics. They have something else in common, too. They both believe the American people should never forget the ultimate sacrifice paid by members of the U.S. military, and that is the reason they are disappointed with the decision made by the government they love. They believe the federal government has made a terrible, insensitive mistake by walking away from a pledge to the families of our war dead after World War II to make it convenient for Gold Star families to remember their 234,000 loved ones who are interred or commemorated in 26 military cemeteries and memorials in more than a dozen foreign countries. Over the years after World War II, until 2015 that is, the families of these Americans could mail a check to a government office in Washington, D.C. to pay for flowers that would be placed at the graves of veterans like Bob Holliday's father. Carl Holliday, a farm kid from Wayne County, was killed by German gunfire in April 1945 during the closing weeks of the war in Europe. Bob was 19 months old, too young to have memories of his father. There was no grave to visit in Iowa because his father was buried with 8,000 other men at the American cemetery outside Margraten, Netherlands. Now 80 years old, Bob Holliday has brought a bulldog's tenacity to his quest to get the federal government to reinstate the discontinued floral program. He has led a contingent of people from across the nation who lost a parent in World War II. They have enlisted former military leaders to help, people like retired Marine Corps General John Kelly, whom you may remember as the Secretary of Homeland Security and White House Chief of Staff under President Donald Trump. Kelly has a special bond with people like Bob Holliday. Kelly's youngest son, First Lieutenant Robert Kelly, was killed in Afghanistan in November 2010 when he stepped on a hidden explosive while leading a Marine patrol. The chaos of World War II did not allow Carl Holliday's body to be returned to the United States for burial near the family farm outside Promise City. The body of Robert Kelly was brought back to the United States and now rests at Arlington National Cemetery. In the months after his son's death, Kelly told an audience, Gold Star families are special, to say the least. They don't ask for much. But in a federal budget that totals $6 trillion, with a T, dollars, it was too expensive and too inconvenient for the government to handle the flower purchases families wanted to make for those resting in burial grounds in places like the Netherlands or above the D-Day beaches in France. 3 times a year for 40 years, Holliday bought flowers through the program for his father's grave. That ended when officials at the American Battle Monuments Commission decided the flower program had become a burden. It was taking too much employee time. Besides, most buyers wanted to pay by credit card, and the agency said it is not set up to accept credit cards, even though every facet of American life, from income taxes to parking meters, can be paid by credit card now. The government's decision angers Holliday, a recently retired West Des Moines lawyer, just as it angers Kelly. Those people buried in those cemeteries, most in their 20s, they died for us and they died for our government, Holliday told a reporter. Don't walk away from that. And so they are trying to work with the government and get this reinstated. And John J. Pershing, the most famous American general during World War I, once said of the war dead who fill our overseas cemeteries, time will not dim the story of their deeds. But time appears to have dimmed the willingness of government officials to bear a bit of inconvenience to get flowers from families of the loved ones beneath those white grave markers. And this happens a lot. Most of the World War II veterans are dead, and a lot of their family members are dead. But it was a good program, I think, and it keeps these people alive in the hearts of their relatives, and it kind of shows that the country as a whole appreciates the efforts they went to and the big sacrifice that they made. So anyway, if you get a chance to do something about this, if there's a flyer or something, why, that would be a good cause to support, though it doesn't look like they're looking for anything except the government to say that they'll do this again. So that's what I had today.
What branch of the government does that, Dale?
It didn't. Well, it's the Defense Department. It's well, it says. It's a federal budget. It's the American Battle Monuments Commission. So I don't know who that would be under. The American Battle Monuments Commission decided the flower program to become a burden, and these may be the people that oversee like the Iwo Jima Memorial and those other war monuments, the World War II monument, those kind of things. I don't know. I did not look that up, I'm sorry to say. So,
Well, it doesn't sound like it would be that hard. They may have to charge a little bit for the flowers and stuff to get credit cards, going like that
Yeah.
and stuff like that. But they may have to hire someone to do that.
but so it always gets me when they say, like 9/11, we'll never forget this. Well, they will. In 100 years, 150 years, there's always new things to come along. And we've done this to veterans over and over and over again. And we still get people to serve. So,
Yeah, that's thank you, Dale, for
yeah,
that.
you're welcome.
In Jesup news, as the election was yesterday, so as those of you that are listening to this, the election was almost a week ago. Here are the results as we have them. They're not all in because there were a number of write-in candidates this year, but this is what we have. The school board presently is James Masteller, Nate Clayberg, and Melissa Trumbauer were elected, and they have one write-in candidate, but they won't know who until later this week. They still need to hand count those votes.
Yeah.
And at the city level, Chris Even, who is a guest on here.
Podcast veteran.
Yes, he is. Chris was elected mayor, and he ran unopposed. Craig Wright was reelected for council, and they also have two write-in candidates, but won't know these names until later in the week after they count those ballots by hand. I wondered, I watched KWWL all day for that information, and I couldn't find it.
Yeah, they still didn't have it tonight. I looked right before I came down here. And even the state site didn't have, KWWL refers you to a state site if you want to try there, and even they didn't. And so, and I don't know how many people they have counting and how many different towns have those kind of ballots where there are a lot of write-ins. I suppose they have to look at all of them.
Yeah.
But you had to fill in the little dot before the write-in. And so you would think that the computer, when they were counting, would kick those out to one side so they could hand count those.
Right.
And so, but
In our city, in our area, have 6 precincts. I will not shame I will shame myself and tell you I don't know what those 6 are.
yeah. Well, see, it's difficult when you have the school board. The school district does not have the same lines as the county or the city or anything, and so it's a little tricky because you can live in Blackhawk County, still need to vote in the Jesup School Board election, but not in the Jesup City election, and so whoever holds those offices in independent. Thank you. You're doing a wonderful job because to me it's quite confusing, especially this election, where it's the city and the school board on the same ballot. And so they must have to have lots of different ballots.
Yeah, it's not an easy job. I don't envy them.
Because we used to get kids in school and they'd have a Fairbank address or a Brandon address or an Independence address, or I don't know if they ever had a Waterloo address, but sometimes I suppose they could. They come from all over, and so that would be difficult.
Well,
But probably those are the townships would each have a polling place, or would each have a separate ballot, I suppose, because do they have township Did you vote for a township person, or was that?
no,
Okay.
I'm ashamed
Okay, what
to
was
say,
on your ballot? Just
Well, I'm ashamed to say yesterday I was out of town, and so I couldn't vote.
I
That's
didn't
all
mean- I
right.
didn't mean
No,
to put you
no.
on the spot.
No,
That's all right.
that's all
Oh,
right. I was
okay.
out of town, so I
Okay.
didn't get a chance to vote.
Okay.
So I went and saw Artist Barb Prawl down in Marion, and I didn't get to vote.
Yeah.
So
I just wondered on the township ones if they have just the school board candidates, if that's all they had, or if they had, because there are some township offices. Like Tony Bankson has an office, doesn't he, of some kind? And Mr. McMartin, Niall McMartin, always had an office, it seemed like, and a township office.
So it'll be interesting. How those votes go and how many votes, and that should be out by the end of the week.
I would hope so.
Yeah. In other news, I'm ashamed to say we let Reed down. We were supposed to wear green for Reed today, and all three of us didn't get it done on the air today. Reed Havlick is struggling, and we're thinking about you. I hope you're feeling better.
Do you know how old he is now?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm not sure how old Reed is.
Yeah.
Erica was on early in the podcast. We're in our 51st podcast today, and she was probably on about the 6th or 7th podcast, I'm guessing. So, and she said that. I won't say I don't want to.
That's fine.
Don't want to embarrass Reed or that family. Any other town news? Next week we are having 3 CAP students in to talk about. They are working to put a time capsule somewhere near the city hall out here, either in the park across the street, in the street, or in City Hall. And so they'll tell us more next week.
Okay.
I look forward to those guests.
Okay.
And then the following week we will have on Donnie Jacobson to talk about his business. And so the year is going fast. Then don't forget the 2nd of December we are in the park doing a podcast from the band gazebo. Dress warm, Mr.
Yes,
Rueber.
I will, yes. That should be fun because we're right close to Santa Claus and the little kids and everything. Yeah. So we hope to have some fun things happen.
There you go. So, all right. This is the Steve Brown Arts Center Podcast Network. I'm Jim Gillespie with Dale Rueber, producer Blake Tempus, and we're at Cowork 591 Studios right outside of downtown Jesup. And Dale, we're coming off of Halloween. Do you watch scary movies?
Well, sometimes I do. Sometimes I just I stay away from them. But I remember as a kid, I used to stay up late and watch. Channel 2 had old movies, black and white movies, and when I should have been asleep because I had school the next day, I'd stay up late and watch those movies. And I remember movies like King Kong and Godzilla and all those kind of things, watching those, and then not realizing that those kind of things were even on film, and then to see those movies. I don't like with a lot of blood and gore ones, but I will watch them every now and then.
Recently I watched the first scary movie I'd watched in a long time. And I wish I could remember it. It was on Hulu. It was a new version of a Hercule Poirot movie, an Agatha Christie character. Wonderful movie, actually. Poirot had retired and moved to Venice.
Okay.
And an old friend, an old love, and Christian never talked about Hercule Poirot's love, and a lot of the critics don't like that this movie has an old flame of Hercules.
So what's the horror part of it?
Well, it takes place in a haunted house.
Oh, okay.
So,
okay.
The murder. There are 3 murders. Actually, the first one isn't really a murder, but then there are 2 murders because of the first.
Okay,
first
yeah.
murder. But it's on Hulu if you get a chance.
Okay.
So, and actually, I'm a big. One of my English teachers in high school, or not high school, in middle school, got me into Agatha Christie. That's how she got me into reading when I was young.
Yeah.
So, but I have here, Dale, the horror movies that had the largest global box office revenue in the 1970s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s.
Okay.
You want to guess some of them?
Well, do you consider like Jurassic Park? It's a scary movie. Is that on the list?
It's not on the list.
Okay.
Jaws is on the list.
Was a scary movie. I love Jaws. Just the music and the drama that the music is. See, I'm trying to think and I can't. I love the Jurassic Park. I was sitting. It was a crowded. Theaters used to be packed with those kind of things, and the 2 or 3 of them are hiding in the ventilation ducts. And this dinosaur just pops his head up. I jumped right out of my seat when that happened. So it just okay. I'm drawing a blank here. Go ahead.
When you think about it, and I will give you these names, and I'll go through the top 10 or so. I'll skip around, but the number one grossing movie of horror movie of all time, a 1973 movie called The Exorcist.
Oh, sure.
Did
And
you
I
see that
never
one?
saw it. No,
I didn't either.
It did not appeal to me at all.
No.
And so I did not see that.
Number 2 was Jaws.
Okay.
The Exorcist made 400. Would have made the equivalent today of $2,826,000,000.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
And how much does it have the number, the actual number from 73 or?
Would have been 428 million.
So 428 million then equals 2-point-something billion today. That's inflation.
That is inflation.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Jaws is number 2, and believe it or not, Jaws number 2 is number 3
Oh, okay.
for grossing movie.
Yeah. And see, to me, a horror movie has like Exorcist, has demons and goblins or whatever, or Dracula or something like that.
Right.
But to me, Jaws is more of a scary movie rather than, okay, go ahead.
Number 4 was the It, Alien 5.
Okay, I did not see that either. I probably was too afraid to see it.
Yeah. Number 6, The Silence of the Lambs.
I didn't see that either. Didn't like the premise of that. So.
Number 8, Hannibal.
Yeah, I didn't see that.
Number 9, It Chapter 2.
Didn't see that.
Number 10, and this was the most bizarre. I was so bored after 5 minutes that I stopped watching it. It was on, I don't know, it was on one of the movie channels one night, on the Blair Witch Project.
Okay, I read about that, but I did not watch it, no.
Here you go. Here, the Bram Stoker's Dracula was number 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So got inside top 10. Interview with a Vampire was 11.
Yeah, didn't watch that.
The Nun was 12.
The who?
The Nun.
And
The Nun, as in
N-U-A?
Catholic nun.
Oh, okay, I did not see that.
The Ring.
Nope.
The Conjuring.
Nope.
And Resident Evil Afterlife.
Nope. So,
I'm
not a big horror movie fan.
No, and here's the problem with movies today, Dale. You go to a movie, and I've sat in a movie with one other person before.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And usually there's 6 or 7 people in the theater, and it's remarkable. They've put recliners in theaters.
Yeah.
There's some movie theaters that serve alcohol. There's some movie theaters that serve meals.
Yeah, they'll have people bring it to you. You don't have to leave. Yeah.
Yeah. And they're going through a problem right now. Hollywood is still fighting the Actors Guild, and they're running out of movies to show, new movies to show.
Yeah.
So it's going to start hurting the theaters.
Oh, yeah,
soon.
I'm sure it will. If they would show some of the old ones, I'd like to see them again on the big screen.
I would love to see Casablanca in the theater.
Yeah, and there was a movie I was on TV. The Russians are coming. The Russians are coming. You ever see that? And the young babysitter girl, she has the most beautiful blue eyes on the big screen. On TV, you don't get it.
Right.
But on the big screen, I was in college and that girl's face with those big sparkly blue eyes, I just love that. I thought that was so nice. And so,
Well, Blake and I were talking off camera, and there is, I don't know if the camera picks up to my right, there's a 65-inch television. And there is because we're not sponsored by them, I'm not going to say their name. There is a store in our area that is selling a 65-inch television for $230 or $265.
is that right?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I look at that TV, and I've looked at 70 inches. 70 inches are in the 500s, and that's not much larger. A 70-incher isn't much larger than that. I don't know if
I've got a wall that would take up most of the wall. So, well, now I know what I want for Christmas: a $285
Well, you better
giant
get in there.
TV screen. So, but you won't tell me who it is.
it is. It starts with the W, and then owned by the Wall family down in Tennessee.
I see.
Arkansas.
Arkansas.
Thank
yeah.
you, Arkansas.
Yeah.
Forgive me, Walls. Don't be litigious against us.
They'll come after you, So.
I know it. Dale, let's go back when you taught.
Okay.
Okay. How many hours do you think you worked a week?
Oh well.
And this includes at home and all of that.
Well, I tried to be at school from 7 to 5, and that way I wouldn't have to do a lot at home because I had little kids at home and this sort of thing. So that's what, 10 hours?
So that's
That's
so
I would say between 50, at least 50 hours a week for the in general. Sometimes things happen, but about 50 hours a week. And I never thought about it as hourly. I was getting so much money to do a job, and so I did the job.
Right.
And I just never thought about it. And teaching's one of those things where you have to, if you're not ready, they'll eat you alive the next day.
they
Oh,
will.
geez, yeah.
Yeah.
So I heard a comedian talking about teaching's the only job where if you can't make it, they'll get a substitute for you. And he was talking about, well, how about if you went to court and the lawyer said, your lawyer couldn't make it, so I'm your substitute lawyer for the day. And then he said, oh, and I can't find the lawyer plans that your lawyer left for me, so let's just show a movie.
So I've got some numbers here.
Okay.
So just to help you through this, help you understand this, 1,450 hours is equal to 181 8-hour work days.
Okay, say it again.
So 1,450 hours
Okay.
is equal to about 181 work days.
Okay.
That's 8-hour work days.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay? So Norway works 1,427 hours. Austria, that's Austria, the European Austria,
Yeah.
works 1,442 hours. France works 1,490 hours. Czechia works 1,753 hours. Ireland works 1,775 hours. And I'm trying to think here. The United States works 1,791 hours. So of 181 days being 1,450 hours, the U.S. works 1,791 hours. That is so that's about 300 more hours. Yeah, about 300 more hours. Divide that by 8 that's about 40 some more more days a year. So that a lot of Saturdays. The hardest working country in the world. Take a shot at it, Dale.
The hardest working, as in how many hours they put in?
Yeah.
Okay, not necessarily the work they do, but the hardest working country. I'll say Japan.
That's a good shot. We go, let me see if I can find Japan. Japan is 1,607.
Okay.
That is only about 100 more than the United States.
Okay.
The country that puts in the most hours is Mexico.
Oh, I suppose. Yeah.
But Mexico is considering a switch to a 40-hour work week down from a current 6-day standard of 48 hours. But they work 48-hour weeks.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we talked earlier in the year about 4-day work weeks here. A lot of people want to say Germany is one of the hardest working countries, but let's see if I can find this. Looking at the other end of the list, the two countries work the fewest hours are Germany and Denmark.
Okay.
Okay.
But they both have real good economies, though, don't they? Still, yeah.
This is reflective of the strong labor laws in these countries, as well as their emphasis on work-life balance.
Yeah.
Now, you look at the birth rate, death rate of many of these countries, and it's changing. The U.S. is actually the death rate is people are dying earlier rather than the age going up.
Yeah.
In Germany and Denmark, the ages are going up.
Like most of it takes August off, right? Is there any other country that has a system like that where they have where the country almost shuts down?
Russia is like that.
Russia's like that.
Russia is like that.
Okay.
Because we did 3 trips in Russia. 2 of the 3 trips were in August, and Moscow, a city of millions of people, just slowed down. Many of those people would go to fincas in the country and would go to small towns in the country and get out of the city.
Yeah. I've often thought that wouldn't be too bad a system to have a nice lengthy vacation rather than. And there are some people, like you go on vacation and your work just piles up till you get back. So then you have to work extra hours to get your work caught up. And so it didn't pay you to go on vacation because you end up with more work and longer hours just trying to catch up again. And so I never liked that system. So
as an educator, I hated to be gone from school.
yeah, I did too. It was more work to be gone.
One of the few jobs is of an educator. As an educator, one of the few jobs where you're gone, you work twice as hard when you get back.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
And that's no complaint. It's just fact.
Yeah.
If you'd like to donate to the Steve Brown Arts Center or have an idea for an event, go to the SteveBrownArtsCenter.org and follow the link. Don't forget, December 2nd, we have our holiday podcast. We are showing Dave Harms and his grandson their art in January. More information on that.
I ran into Cameron Holman the other day.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, and asked him about his guitars. Guitars.
Guitar.
Yeah. and said, bring one by sometime. I said, we're here every Wednesday night, and so I hope that he does that so we can see one that's really complete. And so he says it's going really well.
I want to thank Garrett Ficken that we showed out at the Littleton and Chatham Historical Society last Friday. Garrett's art was incredible. I mean, it is. Garrett talks about the time he spends on it, and I want to watch him paint someday. Garrett is a busy man. He works at St. John's and paints besides, so he's a very busy person.
Did you tell him you saw that little donkey face in the one? Or?
I did, yes.
Did he? Anybody else ever say that to him? Or?
Oh yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Right.
People did. People did.
Yeah.
He was very happy with the crowd.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good because I thought there was a very nice crowd, but it didn't have the what did you call it? The trash chili or the The one where everything goes
the
in.
kitchen sink.
The kitchen
chili.
sink chili, yeah. The girl offered it, and I said, I don't think so.
Yeah. Oh, it was incredible. Joe Olson made that chili. It was wonderful.
Was it? Okay.
It was. I mean, honestly, it was as good a chili as I've ever had.
Okay,
And
well.
Joe is a known culinary expert over
Okay,
in Independence.
And see, that's the thing. If it had a different name, like
Mm-hmm.
Chili Supreme, I probably would have, I'm easily influenced by what things are called, I guess. So,
Yeah. Oh,
so I never liked
understand.
sour cream because that just never sounded good to me. I wouldn't eat it. So
If you have news or would like to sponsor us, email us at jim@stevebrownartscenter.org or call 319-290-0241 and leave a message. Or if you see Dale or Blake and have news, don't be shy. Let them. I'm Jim Gillespie, and thanks to co-host Dale Rueber and producer Blake Tempus and Kelly Seahas. Dale, do you have anything else before we sign out here?
no, I guess I'm good. So I have not
You
one
sure?
more thing to say.
Dang.
Yeah.
All right. Forgive me. Thanks to the audience for bringing these stray dogs into your day. And remember, each day is about little victories.
Sure is. So.